frontier. This is Football Daft with Stephen Purden,
midfield dynamo and average actor,
Chris Toll,
target man, suspicious character,
and
With the top end of Stevenson, Grado!
Alright folks, it's Football Daft. We're here. It's only me and Grado. We're not actually fully sure what we're doing this week, are we, Grado?
Yes, that is correct. We have a bit of an empty. Shell Suit Bob is on annual leave. Producer John has taken annual leave as well. He's been telling off his missus that if he doesn't take a week off, she's divorcing him. So we've kind of gave him, what did they say in the workplace? We've granted it. We've granted both Bob and John's leave this week. We're with Ryan, producer Ryan, who's sitting up there with a Celtic tap on. Toll's sitting there with a Celtic tap on. Big old
What about this one, Grado? It's a retro one, is it not, my man?
Is that Snyder?
Aye, it's a Snyder, of course it's a Snyder. You don't get these new anymore. But it's identical to the real thing. Only cost me 11 quid. Yes! The age gate, folks. They're not paying us yet, but they will if I keep mentioning them. Right.
Right, mate, it doesn't always work out though. I think I told you a story before about my top I got for DHgate. I thought I'll buy the new Celtic top for China, and it came, and I looked at it, and it was two different Celtic tops stitched together down the middle, down the seam at the side. So the front of it was a new top, and the back of it was like, I don't know, something for like 2004.
You sure it wasn't just the Champions League jersey with a big patch at the back? Are you sure?
No,
Are you sure?
No,
Are you
it went straight in the bin, mate, because I thought if I go out to the pub and somebody sees this, I'll crumble. So
I wouldn't wear a fake jersey out.
Wait, you just wear it for about the house? Is it just your jammies?
No, I don't mean that. I mean, like this, I just look at this as like one of the retro ones that you'd get off one of these sites. No, I mean, I'd wear this outside, but say, like, for example, the jersey Ryan's wearing, I wouldn't buy a fake the new jersey because you can tell them a mile off, man.
Is that what you done, Ryan, aye?
I've done it before. No, this is Adidas stuff, man. It's a decent clubber. So I done it with the last one.
Starting to win. Anyway, enough talking about Snidey Taps.
No, but listen, we need to talk about what the fuck's going on here, because I think the two of them are away down to Blackpool to watch the Celtic Rangers game at the weekend.
Well, this is the deal. This is what folk are planning to do, innit? Apparently, this is folk have got the plans of how this could be a bit of a dodgy weekend, too, I'm telling you. I don't know if I should say I'm worried, right? But I don't know if you remember a couple of months ago, Nicola Sturgeon, and I hate talking about politics on this show because you want to come to podcast, fit my podcast, and you don't want to listen to this shite, but, well, it's no shite, it's what we've got today, unfortunately. But when Nicola Sturgeon was talking about giving a yellow card to Fitba because of the COVID stuff a couple of months ago, I'm a wee bit worried in case it all kicks off at the weekend with supporters and stuff like that, with house parties. What do you think, Tom?
I completely agree with you, mate. And, you know, it's the issue here for me, and I've mentioned it before, it's giving people access to their season ticket at home, right? And I think it's actually one of the, God forgive me, right, but I think it's one of the Tory councillors have actually said that this game should be free to air on terrestrial television to stop everybody from going elsewhere to watch it. Mm-hmm. See, if everybody had the option to watch this in the house, you wouldn't have this problem, right? And I know that Sky obviously have got the rights to it and what have you, and it's going to cost money if they give the game away to everybody else. But why not just make the money back for this one game after advertising on terrestrial television? You know what I mean?
It's a great shout. It's a great shout because I know that Sky, they know doing it, if you don't have the Sky Sports package, you can buy a day pass for a tenner, but hearing that shout about the terrestrial telly, that could have been that's one that they could have been taken further. Know that I'm saying I don't trust Fitba fans. I think there'll be a lot of folk this weekend that don't even bother with the Fitba, that could use it as an excuse. But
Grado, you know, and I know, see, when the Celtic Rangers game comes round, you've got all the arseholes that sit in the house and then they put their Rangers or their Celtic tap on for one day, go out, get blitzed, end up fighting, gain it all their bullshit and singing all their songs and all that, and they're not the real supporters of the clubs. That's the thing, you know what I mean? So the good thing is it will not be getting shown in the pubs in Scotland, right? So straight away you know that the pubs are going to be quiet, right? But people having access to it in their house are just going to be on the phone like that. Listen, run round to my house, we'll watch the game. They'll have their carry out in the house, and it kind of completely ruins the whole not going to the pub kind of thing. Altogether, you know.
Well, let's just say we do advise as Football Daft. We do need to say, please stick to the rules, the regulations. everything that's been put forth. But I think we'll change the subject, man. As I said, everybody's probably sick fed up listening, talking about COVID, all the rest of it.
I'm going to be honest with you, mate. I'm sick fed up talking about fucking football.
So am I, man.
Do you know
I
what?
can't even talking about football. What else have you been up to? We've got an empty. We can do what do you want to talk about? You've got 5 minutes with Grado. What do you want to know?
Right, Grado, 5 minutes with Grado. Mate, I was flicking through the channels the other night for some reason, right? And I stopped on Gogglebox, and I've never seen it before, right? But I tell you what a fucking programme that is. Mate, I was pissing myself at it. I was pissing myself. See, they to a woman. Amazing.
To a woman, how amazing are they? They're dead cute, aren't they?
Aye, mate, do you know what? Sammy was sitting next to me and she's like, oh my God, they're so cute. They were talking about shagging and all that, mate, fucking 90-year-old woman.
Mate, they talk about riding on it every week, man. They're superb. Honestly, told that's the only programme that I got my way to make sure that I'm sitting down in front of telly watching it. Why hey, do you know what, Toll? You'd be brilliant on that programme, by the way.
Gogglebox, mate.
Do you know, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this in the podcast, right, but see, it started around about 2012, 2013 Gogglebox, right? And it had just been directly after the British Wrestler documentary got released, right, with me and Vice. And a guy phoned me for Channel 4 and he says, we're starting a programme called Gogglebox. How would you feel about being on it, right? And so he explained it to me and all the rest of it. And I thought, man, it wasn't, I don't think they get paid, it was expenses. You get your takeaway sorted, you get your chippies, you get your biscuits and your cakes paid for. Anyway, he says, look, here's the deal. He says, you can be in this series. You just need to find somebody to date with. And if you're able to...
We could have done that.
Mate, do you know what? So at the time, I don't know if I knew you as well as what I do now, but at the time I was looking at my brother to date, and actually he had mentioned Dallas, but here was the deal. We had to move to Manchester for the 3 months that it was on, because apparently they couldn't get rights. So I was put in a position, because at the time I was working in the fire brigade in the control room.
Aye.
And I had told him, look, I says, I work 4 on for the fire brigade. I goes, I would need to take quite a lot of leave for 3 months. He says, well, we'll give you a bell back, right? So I'm kind of trying to work it out. I speaks to Rab Florence and Greg Hemphill, and they told me, this was just right at the start. This was before River City and all that carry on. They were like, please don't do reality TV. You'll fuck it up. Please don't do reality TV. So I was all going through my head, but the phone back up and all that. Listen, this is too much. I carry on moving you to Manchester. We'll just forget it. So I always just wonder what would have happened if I get put on that Gogglebox.
Surely they're going to do a celebrity one. Me and you are shoo-ins for that, aren't we?
Oh, mate, the day the celebrity one. The celebrity ones are Gallus. No, Liam Gallagher's been on it. You need to go back and watch it. Aye, but I think a Scottish version of Gogglebox would be good. Scottish sit and watch the telly would be amazing, man.
It would be. You're right. Let's do it. Let's get that in. Let's put the wheels in motion, bro.
BBC Scotland, the new channel.
There you go.
Let's try and revive STV too. We'll get you involved.
I tell you what. Right. See if you had to pick one show to go on, one game show or television like reality show, what one would you pick?
Right. Well, you know what I'm going to say. Anything involving Michael Barrymore. I've realised that that's who I want on this programme. I want Michael Barrymore. Barrymore on a podcast. Remember he done a shout out for a mate a couple of months ago. If there's any programme I'd like to be on, it'd be Strike It Lucky. Top middle of
Strike It Lucky. I'd go for Naked Attraction. Fuck it, know what I mean? What a buzz. Imagine that, having your bobby flailing about on live telly.
Oh mate, I'd defo set my planner to record if I knew your Bobby was going to be in Channel 4 on a Friday night biggin. We will probably get our boys chewed or our arse chewed, whatever you said for talking about. Ryan, do you think we need to go back to talking about football? What do you think, mate?
Aye, let's talk about Scotland. Let's talk about a little bit
we need to talk about Scotland. Right. What's going on here, man? They're fucking... Do you know what? It's like watching paint drying, but it's effective. They're doing really well now, man.
Somebody told me this morning that apparently this is the strongest Scotland have been in terms of results in our lifetime. Me and him, we're both 32-year-old. Have you heard that?
I think it's since 1988, just before it was the qualifiers for the 1990 World Cup, I'm sure. I think we went 8 games undefeated, right? But if Steve Clark, see if we get a win against, is it Slovenia we're playing?
Mm-hmm.
If we get a win against them, I think it's the longest undefeated streak in something like fucking 100 years or something.
Seriously?
Do you know what I mean? So, but it's going to be, it's turgid to watch, right? It's no entertaining to watch, but see, as long as they keep going the way they're going to start getting people on side, Grado. And then it's going to be there's going to be that feeling again behind the Scottish national squad. And like I said, see, it doesn't matter if they're not playing well. See, as long as they're getting the results, they'll get the feet through the door for a start. Everybody will be on side. Clark will stop getting. Well, do you know what? Clark won't stop getting hassle because he's a Scotland manager, so you can't please everybody. But I genuinely think they're going in the right direction now. Again, trying to sit through a Scotland game, I can't express this enough. Try to sit through a Scotland game is an exercise in fucking calmness, because you sit and you watch it and your head's going like this, you're falling asleep, and then it becomes exciting within the last 2 minutes if you're trying to hold on to a result, or if you know it's going into penalties. That's when it gets exciting, the last 2 minutes.
Well, do you know what? I was in Dunoon at the weekend. We had it on the telly. We had the Scotland game on the telly. And I must have lasted about half an hour. I stuck on Dennis the Menace on Netflix. So, but I mean, I put my hands up. It's just because I was told, you know, I support Scotland, but I just can't get into it. I want to. But I think, as you say, the more successful we are, maybe I'll get the kind of...
You know what it does as well?
I look as if I'm just a glory hunter, am I? Just a glory hunter?
No, because you know what it does, right? Each wee victory or wee draw gets more people on side, and there starts to become this feeling, this good feeling behind it, right? And do you remember when Walter Smith was a manager? Right, that was when I had my pub, right? Walter Smith was a manager. My pub was called 24, right? It was in Coatbridge, but it was like the hub for the Scotland games. Mm-hmm. Coatbridge every pub is either designated a Rangers or Celtic pub, right? But mine wasn't. And all the Scotland fans used to come to my pub to watch the game, right? I remember the game against Norway when Awilino missed the sitter. There was that many people in my pub, Grado, that there was fucking condensation dripping for the ceiling. That's how busy the pub was. I'm not kidding on, honestly. And everybody was just there supporting Scotland. There wasn't any crosswords. There wasn't any, Rangers this or Celtic that. Or obviously words not to that effect, but everybody was behind it. And remember when we played Italy in that same qualifying group?
Yeah, I do.
Barry Ferguson scored, remember?
Yeah. I do remember that.
I've never celebrated a goal by a Rangers player as much in my fucking life. I was getting off my head, right? And that's what it brings. It brings a togetherness in the Scottish football that it kind of exceeds the old firm side of things. Don't get me wrong. There's always going to be, I don't give a fuck about Scotland because this, that, and the next thing, or I support Ireland. No, that's not what it's all about. What it's all about is getting behind the team, having a wee bit of pride in your country. And I'll tell you what, see if we manage to make it to the Euros, Grado, you're going to see something that you've never seen before. The whole country will get behind them, and it's going to be fucking dynamite. I just hope that we get the result that we need.
Well, you've inspired me, too. Thanks very much.
There you go, bro.
You've inspired me.
Do you think we will, Chris? Do you think we'll get there?
No. Right, so, Grado, another thing that we need to talk about this week, the World Leagues are back. So the games start tonight, don't they? Who have we got? Hearts versus who?
Hearts Dundee.
I don't know, Gogglebox is on, but who did the Hearts play?
Hearts versus Dundee. By the way, that's a Premier League match, Hearts versus Dundee. That'll be hanging. What?
I have an interest in that. This will be interesting to see because, as you say, they're a couple of months behind. It's interesting to see how Hearts are going to be and how they're going to cope in the Championship, though. And I think Dundee is a first game. It's going to be a really meaty game, mate. It
will be. It's probably going to be the hardest game of the season.
Aye.
You're right, though, Grado, on what you say. It's a difficult game.
You've also got the added juiciness as well of Dundee sending Hearts down with their defining vote last season.
No, just that. Robbie Nielsen's just came back to Hearts for Dundee United as well. So there's loads of different avenues. This game's it's got a bit of bite to it, I think.
So there's a bit of steam leading into this match.
There is a bit of steam.
Which leads on to Fraser Hornby.
Fraser Hornby, he became the under 21's leading scorer all time after scoring a hat trick against San Marino. Tell you what, have you ever seen him playing? The guy's like a fucking locomotive. Honest to God, just straight through. You know what I mean? It'll be interesting to see if he can manage to keep his career on track right enough.
How did he score an overhead kick? That's fucking horrific, isn't it? That's
Don't know,
fucking
mate, but
horrific.
the atmosphere at the stadium was electric, and I tell you what, I'm sorry, I can't do any more.
I know, man.
I can't do any more. No, but honestly, he does have a good engine on him.
So on the show today, we welcome none other than football legend Chick Young. That'll be interesting to hear from him. Toll?
Aye, I'm looking forward to it. He's been a fixture of Scottish football since before we were born. You know what I mean? The guy's been all over the world. He's going to have some decent stories, isn't he?
And on the Legends Lottery, it's my turn. So we'll see if I've come up with the goods, because I'm right behind Toll on the league. And we'll see what Stephen got last week for his guest, Sean Connor for River City. And of course, it's Derby Day this Saturday. It's Derby Day in Glasgow at the Old Firm this Saturday. The big question we ask is, what is your favourite Derby memory? Whether it's the Edinburgh Derby, the Dundee, Lanarkshire, Highland, or Auchinleck versus Cumnock. We wanted to hear yours.
Football Daft with G4 Claims. Been involved in a road traffic accident? Get them now at notатfaultclaims.com.
Remember, if you've been in a road traffic accident and you're not at fault, G4 Claims can make it easy for yourselves. And welcoming back to the show, the life, the soul of G4, it's Nicole. Nicole, how's it going, pal?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks. How are you guys?
Aye, we're good, pal. Thanks very much for coming on the show.
Where have you been the last couple of weeks?
I know we've kind of
Try
been
to teach your dad how to use Zoom.
My dad doesn't know how to use Zoom. Obviously, I'm his PA, so it's quite hard because you're trying to obviously get the claims in, pay Jim's wages and be Jim's PA. So it really is a full-time job. The man's hard work.
Where is he today?
His son in his cell. He's away to Spain.
You're
I hope he's
No.
quarantining when he comes back.
Fair play, man, because I take it he's his own boss, so if he comes back and he needs to quarantine, that's his own day then, isn't it?
That's it. Well, you know he's been sitting in the house this full time anyway, so he's not going anywhere.
By the way, he must talk a lot of shit to us. He's telling us he's been cycling up and down the length of fucking Scotland.
I know, he actually has. He's been out cycling, but he does that on his own, and then he's been in the house. But he's been in Spain for a couple of weeks. He went out there with my mum, and then obviously they're kind of just stayed there for a few weeks because there's not really much happening here. So at least they're in the sunshine, I suppose.
Aye.
It's all right for some.
Tell me about it. I wish it was me.
What Spain's like just now, because I don't think MD's here either, is there?
No, it's really, really quiet there in Benidorm, and it's really, really quiet. But there's kind of bars and restaurants, they're open, but you need to sit outside. But obviously the weather's nice anyway,
Aye,
so
so
they're
it's
still enjoying it.
Oh well, let them know to enjoy the rest of his stay.
We will do. I'll pass your message on
Right, Nicole,
sarcastically.
tell us this. What the fuck is it that G4 Claims does?
G4 Claims is an accident management company, so we can help you from the roadside of an accident. So if you're involved in a non-fault accident, why would you use your own insurance? Why would you make a claim against your own policy when you can claim the at-fault insurance company direct? Now, dealing with them direct would be a nightmare because it's dealing with another insurance company. G4 Claims do all the work for you. We'll get you into a like-for-like comparable car whilst you're off the road. If your car's written off, we'll keep you in the hire car right up until the point where you're paid out for your own car and you're happy with it. If your car's deemed as a repair, we'll get your car repaired at a repaired body shop. And all the while, you will be in a replacement car. We can deal with your whiplash, personal injury claim. And everything we do for you is free of charge. We bill it all to the at-fault insurance company. So if you're involved in a non-fault accident, then please contact G4 Claims. Non-fault claims made easy.
Do you know what? I must admit, Nicole, I've sat here for how many weeks is this? Has G4 sponsored the show? But this is mental, right? I can't believe it's took for this time. I've just realised that it's not really, he's on an insurance company that does insurance for your car or a room. You just use yours if you're in a crash. How has that not been in my head?
I'm not sure. That's a question you need to have a word with yourself about.
I think you need to sort out the word into this thing because...
Grado, you're the only one that didn't realise, mate. The word is perfectly fine.
No, it's just when she says, why would you go to your insurance? So that, I didn't even know companies like this existed. And I'm not being thing with Bob, Bob, whatever your fucking name is. I didn't realise that. That's a great fuck. What an idea.
It's like Just Eat for car crashes.
Perfect.
Basically, that is exactly what it is.
Did somebody say G4?
When are you getting Snoop Dogg on for the do the advert? Do the read for this, Nicole?
Well, probably I'll need to stop paying yous to pay Snoop Dogg if that is all right.
Listen, I'm old mates with Snoop. I can put a word in for you, no
That
bother.
would be absolutely brilliant. I'd love to have Snoop Dogg in here. I would love to hear Snoop Dogg telling the G4 spiel. That would make my day,
It'd be like
guys.
that, wouldn't it? If y'all had an accident, motherfuckers, y'all ain't to blame. You go to G4 claims, motherfucker.
Yo, Nicole.
Yeah, all I'm going to say,
Absolutely love that.
guys, is Snoop Dogg get paid £5.3 million to do that advert. So
That's about half the
That's
cost
only
of fucking
half of what
delivery
I'm
for
paying
Justin.
Grado.
Aye, right.
Is that right, Nicole? Me and you're going to need to fucking talk then.
All right, cheers, Nicole. Thanks very much, right?
Nicole.
Thanks for everything. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The Legends Lottery on Football Daft.
Folks, let's get down to brass tacks here. Every week on the show, one of the teams tasked with finding a former hero of Scottish football and getting them onto the show. Then you rate how good they were out of 5. We say Scottish football, but in the last few weeks we've had such luminaries as producer John, Gordon Smart, Grado's cousin that was once a fucking mascot for Kelly or something like
Dynamite guest.
that. And last week, Stephen brought on the legend that is Sean Connor for River City. So, producer Ryan, what did he get?
he got a 3. There was a lot of people commenting on it, but 3 is the average score that he got. That takes Stephen's lead up to 26.4.
26.4. I'm starting to feel as if this is unassailable, Grado.
Well, it's you're right competitive about this. I mean, I'm right competitive about it, I must admit. I do think, see, at the end of the day, my mascot was involved in a game. My guest was involved in a game. I can see why folk were going bush about the River City. He was entertaining. I loved him. But I can see why folk were getting wound up about him being a football player, but I can't talk. Because I've got a wee bit something up my sleeve. I know that I'm getting close to you, Toll.
Aye. Have you got somebody this week?
Right, so here's the deal, right? Now, you know how there's a certain goalkeeper, ex-goalkeeper, now current goalkeeping coach. I've been pestering him for months because I want him on the show. I think he's a hero, a Scottish football. He's not a hero, but you know what I mean. He's a legend. He's appropriate for the Legends Lottery.
I know who you're talking about.
Right, you know who I'm talking about. Well, we tell the guests who it was. We'll just tell who it was.
Right, this is understandable why he can't come on the show. We're recording this on Thursday and there's just been breaking news that St Mirren have got more positive COVID tests in their squad.
Aye.
Now, if I'm is he the goalkeeping coach at St Mirren?
It's the goalkeeping coach at St Mirren, former Aberdeen goalkeeper Jamie Langfield. As I said, I've been pestering for months, and let's just say sometimes it can be a wee bit, what would you call it, at the weekend? He gets a bit
rambunctious.
He gets a bit rambunctious the weekend, and he starts. Well, he eventually replied to me and said he could do Legends Lottery this week, and just about half an hour ago, understandably, he told us that he couldn't do it. Therefore, I still need a Legends Lottery. I'm trying to see how this would connect, but we've got a new resident in Stevenston.
All right.
They say never work with animals, but my mate Martin here, right, a long-time friend of mine, has acquired in the last year a guy called Mr. Chow.
What?
Well, Mr. Chow's a parrot, right? But it can talk, it can whistle, it can. Last night on Facebook, he put up a video and it was going, always look on the bright. It can make what a cat says, it can meow, it can ruff when you ask it what is a dog day. So please welcome to the show. Because we couldn't get Jamie Langfield, I hope that people will fairly rate me. It's been hard, it's been tough, but I've managed to get a legend. Please welcome to the show my pal Martin's parrot, Mr. Chow. Mr. Chow, how you doing?
All right, G.
How are you saying? How's the parrot?
I need to try and get a route.
Right,
Who's
okay.
that?
Right.
Who's your Uncle Graham?
What are you
Who's
saying?
that?
You've got a fucking parrot on the Legends Lottery.
It's a parrot. Right. Right, get it to talk. Come on.
You hear him a song?
Right.
You hear him a song?
Hey,
Listen.
do you?
Yeah, I'll try and get it sing today.
Right.
Always look on the bright side of life. No, I did it right. Always look on the bright side of life. You do it. Hold up. Watch. Coach is the camera.
It's not doing it!
This is died its arse, Grad.
Right.
Died its arse.
What does the dog say? Clever, Gareth.
Oh, yes! Yes, we've got it!
Hey, what does the cat say? Meow. You tell him. What does the cat say? Yeah, you know we're not.
Grado, see if you get 5 points for this, I'm finished with the
Right.
Legends Lottery.
What team do you support, Mr. Chow? What team do you support?
Mr. Chow, what's it like being a
Oh, she's saying
parrot?
hello to. Tell
Right.
him. What does the dog say? No, he didn't say hello.
See, I knew this would happen. So, Martin put a video on Facebook last night, and the parrot was doing always look on the bright side of life. You were asking it to, what does the dog do? And it was barking. Honestly, it was totally entertainment. I can understand it's Football Daft. It's the #1 podcast about the pair buggers just get stage fright. And it happens, as Mark, me and Martin spoke on the phone before this, it happens in every game show, doesn't it? And it's no different to coming on here. And
It's just a game show. What are you talking about? What the fuck are you on about?
listen, Martin, thanks very much for coming on the show. I'm sure you've gave me a great rating, Mr. Chow. You and Mr. Chow, I'm sure. We're definitely going to do better than the Hibs player that you had on. Who else have we had on? He's better than River City last week. Top entertainment.
Better than
Right.
producer John, Grado.
Cheerio.
Right, is it saying cheerio? Bye-bye.
Ta-ta.
Ta-ta.
Yeah. She blanked me.
You're looking at the camera like that. What the fuck are you looking at?
Well, as I said before I introduced Mr. Chow to the show, never worked with animals. As I said, talking to you there, all the game shows I've had, all the big shows on the planet, I've had animals coming on and end up, you know,
You're right.
the farter
mate.
collapses and they get stage fright. Unfortunately,
Do you
Mr. Chow,
remember- Do you
the
remember
occasion
the
was
time?
too big.
I can't mind what show it was, but they got a horse on and it shat all over the fucking stage. Remember?
Well,
Live on the telly. Brilliant. What a
would
band.
That happened in Britain's Got Talent with one of the dogs.
aye.
The
I
one
would
guy
have been
jumped
delighted.
through a hole and it ran away and done a shite in the corner and ran off.
I'd have been delighted if it done a shite, but I mean, you did hear it go hello. It said hello, didn't it? Hello, hello.
Aye, there was a hell of a lot of parrot kissing going on and all. Did you notice that?
Is he kissing them?
Oh, what a load of parrot kissing there was.
Thank you, Mr. Chow, and rate fairly.
Football Daft with G4 Claims. Been involved in a road traffic accident? Call them now on 01698 767 172.
Right, Grado, me and you are in the ideal shape
You're right.
for clothes shopping, are we, mate?
No.
What about yourself, Ryan? How are you? Are you svelte or are you carrying an extra bit of timber like ourselves here?
I've got a bit of lockdown weight still.
That'll lockdown, mate.
Carry
Right.
shift it.
That'll be all that fucking cooking that you do.
Mate, love cooking. Absolutely love cooking.
Aye, so listen, sometimes it can be a bit of a bastard trying to find clothes that fit the more portly gentleman.
Mm-hmm. You're
Or
right.
the skinny man, the person that's not got a bit of meat to their bones. But we've got this thing here called stitch. Yeah, we've got this thing here. What the fuck?
I've got this thing here.
We've got this thing here. Wait till you hear about it.
I've got this thing here.
Right, so listen, whether you're fat, thin, tall or short, Stitch Fix has got you covered. It's an online personal styling company that makes getting the clothes that you love effortless. It's a completely different way to shop and that's all about you every time. To get started, go to stitchfix.co.uk/daft to set up your profile and they'll deliver great looks personalised just for you and your colours, your styles and to suit your budget. You pay a £10 styling fee for each fix, which is then credited towards anything that you keep. You can schedule at any time, there's no subscription required, plus shipping, returns and exchanges are easy and free. Stitch Fix does the hard work for you, making great style effortless for men and women. So get started today at stitchfix.co.uk/daft. Make sure you use the show name to support our podcast. That's stitchfix.co.uk/daft.
Football Daft's big question.
Every team has that big derby game where it's Dundee versus Dundee United. You've got the Hearts and the Hibs, Motherwell, Hamilton, St Mirren, Morton, or if it's Ayr versus Kelly, We all love to get one over on our rivals. This weekend, it's the biggest derby night in Scotland, the Old Firm, so we thought we would open it up to our favourite derbies, get our memories for the fans, no matter what team you support, and let us know your best memories. So, I mean, well, me and you, we kind of share the same derby day, don't we? There's nothing better than Old Firm weekend, isn't there?
Aye, I do enjoy a Glasgow derby.
Here we
but
go.
It's never the greatest game of football, is it? Let's be honest. Very rarely do you go like that. Do you know what? That was a right good technical game of football. A real derby is blood and thunder, over the ball tackles, elbows, strikers barging defenders out the way, defenders flinging strikers away to fuck. A proper derby. You know what I mean? And I think quite a lot of it's lost to football now, especially down in England. See, down in England, you don't get the same kind of bile and hatred that you get for a right good derby up here, don't you know?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I remember my mate Porter saying that once we were watching Scotland versus Brazil. He was going, watching this game, there's no violence, there's no bad singing, there's nothing like this. It's just not the same. I don't know. It's fucking true, isn't it?
I must admit, Chris, see what you just said there about loving an Old-Firm game. I don't, mate. I hate them.
Well, Ryan,
my weekend
mate,
is full of fear. Mate, I can't. Like my girlfriend, she doesn't understand football, right? She's no properly into football. But it was a game, I think it actually might have been the last game that the Rangers beat us. The last game we played, actually. And I came home and I was straight in my bed, covers over, and she literally woke me up 3 years later. She's like, "You're an absolute embarrassment. Like, you're such a Wayne going to your bed." I'm like,
I genuinely used to, for a week leading up to it, my arse would be making buttons, honestly, right? For the full 90, you can't relax.
No.
Do you know, Grado, my favourite memory is, remember when Celtic won 6-2 at Celtic Park, right? See, even when it was 5-1,
mate,
I still wasn't comfortable.
Aye.
Right? And I know that sounds daft, because if you've got a 5-1 lead over MD, you've won the game. But there's something about these games, man.
It takes, like, I always think as well, right? It totally takes a good fucking 25, 30 minutes to actually calm right down. I mean, I know all the way through we've got the jitters and we're feared, but I actually think, because even if we kick off and it goes out for a shy and all that, you're like, fucking, do you know what I mean? It goes in there half and you're like, wow, right, code, and you can't settle. Like, it is a horrible feeling, but it's a horrible feeling. I think it makes a big difference.
Pure anxiety the whole time you're watching it, man.
I think what makes a big difference is if you're at the game. For some reason, I don't find it as bad, but if you're watching it in the telly, I don't know, there's more a kind of, what's happening? Oh, what's going on?
And I can't even go round to my dad's to watch it this weekend. So I'm going to need to use the Sky Go, and I'll just fling my phone to fuck away from it.
It's funny because I thought you were going to turn around and say that you can't watch it with your dad. I get it because of the whole restrictions, but I thought you were going to say, because there was a guy behind me that sat at Ibrox when I was about 8 to I was 12. Do you know he was a season ticket holder? He went to every game, but he couldn't deal with Old Firms. He just couldn't do it. He says, I can't come. And the seat was either empty or he gave it to somebody else. He just couldn't deal with it.
See, in my seats at Celtic Park, I sat in the East Stand lower, right? And it was Chris Burks. It was either his dad or his brother or something like that. Sat a few seats away from us. And when Rangers would come to Parkhead, he was never at the game. Either that or he was in hospitality, do you know what I mean? But he was never in his seat. Because I used to sit literally 5 rows away from where the partition was. Do you know what I mean? And it was...
That's interesting, that, isn't it? But, so, what is your favourite derby memory? But what would you say if you had to tell somebody, right, here's my favourite ever Old Firm feeling?
My favourite derby memory? It's probably Venegur's goal in the last minute.
Hated that. That was when Novo equalised, didn't he? Novo equalised, and I think did Venegur just come on in the last 5 minutes?
Grado, you want to know a story, mate? I fucking missed the goal.
You're joking.
See when Nacho Novo, and I'm going to get pelters for this, right? But when Nacho Novo scored, I was that fucking despondent. I left, right? And I got to London Road, and I heard the fucking roar. No, it was Toll Crossroad. I got to Toll Crossroad, and I tell you what, see when I heard the roar, Toll was cross. Mate, I heard the roar, and I still celebrated it. See your wee scarf fenders and all that, and at the back of the motor, at the boot of their car, they had the radio on, and everybody that had left the ground was standing round this car. And fucking the goal goes in, you hear the roar for the stadium, and everybody's celebrating out in the street. Do you know what I mean? And I know I wasn't actually there to see the goal, but that's still my favourite memory.
That's a good
It's
one,
a
Ryan.
strange one.
What about you, Ryan?
Does it need to be a goal, or can it just be a moment in a game? Because there's one that I find one of my favourite moments was when Halliday got subbed off and Morelos came on when Rangers were getting beat, and all the Celtic fans were cheering, but they all waited until he came on. It was like, oh, then Morelos came on, and the whole stadium, I think it was all the Celtic fans went, way!
So that is your favourite memory of a Rangers player?
It was hilarious, but it was hilarious.
Talking about being obsessed.
No, I'm not having that, mate. Your favourite memory as a Celtic fan is Alfredo Morelos coming onto the pitch?
Nah, that was my funniest moment.
You better keep this in, Ryan.
I'll
you
keep
better believe it's getting
keep it in there, but favourite moment, 5-0 to win the league. It's got to be. That was that was the best game to be at, but that was just my funniest moment. I enjoyed that one.
Right, okay. See that 5-0 game? I was on off the ball that day. I was like, can you come in such and such a day? And I went, that's the Old Firm. And I was sitting there, man, and it was just, I was getting pelted every time a goal went in, they would come on to me. It was horrible. But I'd say my favourite memory is going to be Maurice Edu's goal in the 91st minute. Bagheera into Edu and he taps it in. Like one of the last kicks of the game. I think it was Robbie Keane's first game. It was that one where Thompson went through him. So I would say that's
especially
probably my
considering Bagheera should have been sent off about fucking 10 times.
Well, we never did.
You bastard, you
Anyway, this has got me a wee bit G'd up. I must admit, I'm looking forward to this now. I mean, obviously, as we say, the sleepless nights have definitely started, but it's the day after tomorrow. Obviously, people hearing this on Friday, man. The battle fever is on.
Battle fever, mate. That's it. So let's get to talking about what the punters are saying about this one. So Jamie says, Charlie Adam, free kick under the wall as it was my first Old Firm game. Rangers won 2-0. I genuinely do not remember that game.
Aye. That was right. I mean, Charlie Adam had been taking a lot of abuse up until then, and he'd still taking a lot of abuse even after that goal, but I totally remember that. That was, I don't know if that was maybe, it couldn't have been the Le Guin season, but it might have been the season after. I can't quite remember.
No, because did Le Guin not only manage one Old Firm game, and it was the one where Mladenovic scored in the last minute?
Something like that. I would need to look that up when Charlie Adam scored that free kick.
We've got David Jobs, a cold night in March the 7th. A cold night, March the 7th, 1989, Falkirk v Dunfermline. This goes down in history as Super Tuesday with the Bairns. Big Leishman's bubble was burst in front of a crowd of over 9,200 at Brockville. Goals for McWilliams, Rutherford, McGivern and Burgess will forever be my best derby.
I see, that's cool.
Tell us the score, Davey. What was the score? Well, I mean, they might have scored 4 goals, but Dunfermline might have scored 5.
Robbie says the Renfrewshire derby is the best. He loves the atmosphere when it's packed with fans, and it won't be the same next month. I'm taking it that's the St Mirren and Morton derby.
Morton, yeah.
Aye.
Right, we've got Matty. I was in the Selican for Samaras's New Year double, and I could see my mate giving me stick for the Rangers side. You could hear him. You were that close to him. Then Sammy scored his first, then nothing. After his second, I turned to look at him, and he'd disappeared. Seat was empty. That's
another game I remember. I watched that with a Celtic mate, Porter, who I was talking about before. Watched that with Porter. Was that not the game? Did Samaras not miss a penalty at first, or did he score a penalty and then?
No, he scored the penalty.
He scored the penalty.
The next one.
Aye, that was terrific. I'll never watch an Old Firm with a Celtic fan, man, again. It's just, do you know what? But there was a boozer in Stevenson called the Glencairn, right? And I was too young for it. But my brother always says that it was a kind of mixed pub, and what they would do just on Old Firm days, one side of the pub was Celtic, one side of the pub was Rangers, and you
mind the pub at Big Wolfie Hood in Denniston? See, on Old Firm Day, the lounge was Celtic supporters and the bar was Rangers supporters.
See, that's cool, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's the way it should be. You know, you should be able to, like, see, any time there's a Celtic Rangers game, half of my mates are Rangers fans and half of them are Celtic fans, and we always meet up after the game. Always. Doesn't matter what the score is. You know what I mean? You sit and you talk about the game, you go, oh, what about that fucking tackle for such and such? I can never touched them. You know what I mean? You get that banter and all that going. It's brilliant, man. There's nothing to beat it. Nothing to beat it at all.
David says, mine's has to be the 2012 Scottish Cup final. Best day of my life seeing Hearts hammer the Hibs at Hampden. Rudy Scatchell's last ever game for Hearts, and what a send-off it was for him. Was that the 5-1 game?
5-1, mate. I watched that with my mates just on a broken telly.
I remember Kurt Angle done a fucking autograph signing at Tynecastle, and I was asked to go along with the organisers there, and the Hearts guy, he was like the weekend hospitality guy, and he was like, "Take this, Grado, put five fingers there and one on there, and one finger there," and I'm going, "All right, there, boy," and I totally didn't get that's what it was. And then the next day it was all, "Fucking Grado's a jambo bastard." No, that's not even care what it was about.
Well, you're wearing the right jumper for it today then, my man, aren't you? Right, Xander says it has to be the goalie's save from that penalty from Big Pierre Van Hooydonk in their 1-0 win against Celtic back in 1996. I was 16 and in a room full of Celtic supporters with some buzz.
I remember, see that game, I've got a pure memory of that. I mean, I must have been, what year was that, 1996? So I would have been 8. I can remember that like it was yesterday. I remember sitting in the house with my dad, Big Gilbert. I remember everything about that game. Was that not the game as well that Gascoigne missed a penalty as well, and big fucking Peter Van Vossen put the ball
over the bar. Niall says Lanarkshire derby has to be Louis Malt's last minute winner for Motherwell with a header in at the far corner. Motherwell fans went wild. The scenes were magnificent. It was back around Hogmanay time when we won 1-0 versus Hamilton.
Scott says August 2000, Celtic 6, Rangers 2. Martin O'Neill's first Old Firm game against a very strong Rangers team that had dominated in the previous couple of years. The 3-goal blitz in the first 20 minutes was incredible, and Larsson's chip is still the best Old Firm goal I've ever seen. Hashtag that is sensational. What was that like that day?
Yeah, fucking hell, man. Honest to God, that like a couple of seasons prior, I'd never really experienced this hammering Rangers properly until a couple of seasons prior when Dr. Joe, remember we won 5-1.
Aye, that's right.
Was debut kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that was 3 o'clock on a Saturday, that game. That's mental, thinking about that.
Oh, I know, man. That was the last one that kicked off at 3 o'clock on Saturday.
Was it? That's good. A wee bit of info there, a wee bit of infotainment too.
There you go, infotainment, bro. But the 6-2 game was, oh man. I see what I said earlier on, that even when it was 5-1, I never felt comfortable.
Aye.
Rangers had some side, man. They had some side. They had Alberts, they had Van Bronckhorst, Rod Wallace up front, Barry Ferguson.
I think Rickson, did Rickson not get pulled off?
Rickson got taken off after 20 minutes. Scott Wilson never played in that game. Barry Ferguson gets sent off, didn't he?
Scott Wilson played in the 5-1 game, I think. 5-1
game. He gets sent off, but that Rangers team was unbelievable. I think they had Newman as well, Arthur Newman.
Mm-hmm.
And that Rangers side really was tremendous, man.
I just remember watching it with my dad going, "You have got to be kidding me." But as you say, that was like the first, I suppose the 5-1 game, you're right, but definitely in my kind of
memory. Aye,
that was the first one where I was like, Aye. Totally remember it. What I can remember that day is just Chris Sutton. I could just see Chris Sutton for that day. But also, we had Billy Dodge in the team. Remember, I've spoken about this in the podcast before, where I read an interview and he said that was the best game he's ever played in.
best atmosphere, wasn't it?
Aye.
Did he not get a goal chopped off that day?
I might have.
And he was onside. He was about fucking 5 yards onside, and he scored, and it got chopped off. I remember. But that was a great Celtic side and a great Rangers side. That was probably the last Celtic Rangers game that had any sort of world class players in it, I would say.
I think that was a game that kind of kicked off Celtic.
Aye, it was under a new definitely, Grado. Aye.
I would say because after that I just felt it was the Larsons, then you had.
Aye, but then we went to Ibrox later that season and he's fucking turned us over 5-1.
That's right. I remember that game as well. That was, I think Amato was playing in that game.
That was Flo's debut.
Was it Flo's debut?
Remember, he'd fucking backheeled it into the top corner by accident.
That's right. Wow, what a memory. I mean, because I remember, did Flo no get signed on a Friday and he played on the Sunday? It was
and he scored. That's right, man.
Crazy.
I remember I was in Greaves Sports when it got announced that Rangers had signed Torre Andre Flo. And it was on the radio in Greaves Sports, 12 million quid. I was like, for fuck's sake. Where have they got that for? Well, we know that they didn't have it. So.
And thank you very much for football. Your questions have been great.
Football Daft with G4 Claims. Find them on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at G4 Claims Limited.
Right, folks, you can now get more content for Football Daft on Patreon. Just in case you don't know what Patreon is, it's a subscription service that you sign up to not only support the podcast, but you will also get more content. So a shout out to some of the guys that have joined in the last week. We've got Liam Davidson, Ryan Duncan, Goshi and Larson Boy amongst others. So we've set up 3 tiers from which you can choose for. Tier 1 is £5 a month and it's League One. On there you get early access to episodes, an ad-free version of the show, Patreon-only chat community, and a full video version of the podcast. Tier 2 is $7.50 a month and it's a championship. You'll get everything for Tier 1, plus some brand new podcasts for us. On there you can hear Rangers Daft with Stevie and Grado, and Celtic Daft with me. And this week it's Celtic Daft versus Rangers Daft ahead of the Glasgow Derby. Teammates. Each week guests will talk about their teammates in a feature we've just ripped right off for Soccer AM. I wonder who I am. Jink I'm Tubes, Ryan.
No, you're just a tube, no tubes.
For fuck's sake, thanks very much for that. Right, so we've ripped that off for Soccer AM. Up there at the moment, you can hear Kevin Harper, Keith Lasley, Marco Negri, John Sutton, Jim Duffy, Rob Jones, Greg Docherty and John Hartson. And this week, you'll be hearing from Chick Young, and he'll be regaling us with tales of who the biggest shagger that he's ever met is. You also get Football Daft outtakes. Now, last week, there was 25 minutes worth of outtakes. And I'm telling you, every time John sends them to me, I wish we could keep some of them in. But for legal reasons, it's probably best that we don't. You get everything else in the previous tiers as well. Tier 3 is an exclusive Premiership tier. This is the one for the big hitters. Right, we've limited this one to 100 members. There's no many spaces left. So it's £10 a month and you'll get everything that we've just mentioned. Plus, you get a free Football Daft t-shirt if you're signed up for a minimum of 4 months. You get to play me or Stevie at FIFA. It says here it must be on PS4. Only until November when your old dad gets a PS5. Know what I'm saying, Grad? You're a video game master these days. You're going to need to hook yourself up with a wee PS5, my man. I did get the new FIFA, and I'll tell you what, it's just the same as the old FIFA.
Mate, I seen a guy on BBC, The Social, he just absolutely buried it and said the whole thing's all changed and it's a lot harder and it's taking the fun out of the game, man. It's came a long way for the old ISS, isn't it?
Do you know, I started a career mode on it, and it's, you need to train your players and all that shit now, and fuck that, man. I just give me a controller, I want to play. Right, anyway, you get to play us on FIFA, and you also get the first chance to be the pundit on either Rangers or Celtic Daft. So we'll be adding more stuff to these tiers as the season progresses, and that's what we've got to start off with. So if you fancy any of that, get your ass signed up to patreon.com/Football Daft. That's Patreon, patreon.com, and Football Daft, all one word. So get involved now, as we would love to welcome you to the squad. Right, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to Football Daft, a Scottish broadcast legend. He's a star of radio and our TV screens. It's the one and only Mr. Chick Young. How you doing, Chick? Thanks very much for coming on the show.
I'm doing very well, and with everything that's happening in this world, I'm delighted that I'm still actually here and breathing.
Well, as long may it continue, Chick, because it would be a fucking boring place without you on the radio, my man.
Well, so at least at the end of this podcast,
once we get it out of the way, you can do whatever you want. Do what I want. Chick, what do you make of Scotland now?
Well, I knew that Stevie Clarke was the only man to take charge of the situation we were in, and he's done magnificently. Let's get this in perspective. We're not playing like Barcelona or indeed once upon a time Brazil, but we have become very difficult to beat and have now put 8 unbeaten results together, which is the first time that's happened, I think, since 1988 for Scotland. So I like the cut of Stevie Clarke's jib. I always have done. I've known him for a long time, since he scored the only goal for Scotland under 19 team in the World Championships in the Aztec Stadium in Mexico in 1983. Scotland won 1-0. Stevie scored, and I was there.
It's to see him come full circle and to go through all of the steps that he went through down at Chelsea, what have you, and all of that. You must be quite proud of him to an extent.
Oh, you're proud of him who does a job for Scotland. We just needed a good manager. He strikes me as being old school. You know, it reminds me a bit of when I was a kid in this business growing up. I was petrified of people like Jock Stein and Willie Waddle, who were always Mr. Waddle and Mr. Stein to me. And things have changed, times have changed, but Stevie just has a wee ring of the old school about him, and people won't mess him about. And I do like that. And you know, you talk about as a player, Simon got 400 grand for him from Chelsea all these years ago, and he's always been an outstanding player. And I love with bloke. You know, people think he's a bit dry, but he's got a great sense of humour.
He comes across to me as a wee bit kind of crabbit, but I kind of like that about him.
Well, like you, Grado, you come across as crabbit to people, but people kind of like you.
Do they? Do you like my kick?
I've always liked you. I think you're off your trolley, but I've always liked you.
Hey, what I seen we done in Scott Squad last year, that was a great wee scene, was it not?
Well, it was an experience, and had I known that it was on again, and again, I might have renegotiated the repeat fees. But
Chick, tell me about it. I've been on Scott Squad, the most watched fucking clip in Scott Squad history, and I didn't make a fraction of what this bastard makes off it.
Listen,
as long as you're no better about it.
Listen, it's on, Scott Squad's on quite a lot, but it's not on every year, like the way Only Excuse is. Now, we had questions about Only Excuse, and we both said to each other before it started, I bet he can't be arsed with dealing with the Only Excuse stuff, but in this day and age, how do you still cope with that? Because that was what we had to read there. Everywhere he goes, he'll be haunted, everybody. Ho, ho, ho.
That's exactly it. See the bit I says, I'm not reading out. That's exactly what it says. And it must get on your fucking tits, Chick.
Yeah, it does. But when the thing started, I couldn't conceive why anyone. It started on Naked Radio. They started the whole excuse thing. It was just radio, and the first time I met Johnny Watson was at a 10-60s thing, a celebrity game we were playing. I think at half time in the competition at the where would it have been, the SCCC in the late 80s, and the thing started to grow so much. What happened to me in the very late 80s, early the 90s was ridiculous. A pal of mine, one of my best pals, Bill Craig, went to live in Cape Town, and I didn't see him for a number of years through the 90s. And the first time he came back, he said, let's go into town. I says, Bill, I can't go into town. So what are you talking about? I says, for a drink. I says, it'll be a nightmare. And he said, oh, you're big, he'd got you now and all that stuff. I says, right, let's go into town. And I think camera phones were invited in, they're the curse. But the people just drag me in every 2 minutes. This is me, Chick Young, standing where I am, which is here. And just getting pulled every 30 seconds. I'm getting pulled all over the place. And Bill turned to me, and I remember this clearly, and he said, what the fuck happened?
But see, that's the funny thing. It's funny because I can imagine you with your mate in Glasgow and turning around to him and going, what did I fucking tell you? What did I tell you? That's all it is.
And you know, it's been funny. The other thing, there's a few times when it started, I'm thinking, oh, it's just a caricature of me. And then I thought about it, and Johnny's impersonations of everybody else were so spot on. And I thought, eventually it dawned on me, surely I'm the only one that's a caricature. There was one Hogmanay with an ex-partner, and we were in my house. I had a Victorian conversion, a big, high ceilings, box shields, and big mantelpiece. And Johnny opened this particular Only Excuse and Hogmanay with leaning on the mantelpiece, dressed and doing the spit about the fate of Rangers. And I looked at my mantelpiece, and I looked at the one in the telly, and I looked at the room in the telly, and I looked at my room, and I turned to her and I said, did you let that wee bastard in here to film? Because it was the double of my room, and how they knew that, I don't know.
It's funny you say you had a Victorian house. You like Victorias, don't you, Chick?
Sadly not. what happened was, well, there were too many old flames there, and ironically, it went down in old flames. But that's enough. But the whole don't excuse thing with Johnny and me, and he's a great pal of mine.
Yes, he's a great guy.
And I just think, of course, I can laugh at it. If it's funny, it's funny. If it's not funny, it's not funny. But Philip Differ's writing and the way they portrayed it, it made life hell for me with the whole Rangers thing. And but you know, it's been good as well, and it gives you profile, and it keeps you in demand when you might be forgotten. So.
But see, you're talking about the Rangers thing making life hell for you. You can't get that anywhere, do you? You don't get folks still saying you're a Rangers fan now, do you?
You kidding me on, Grado?
But, well, what I'm saying is, if anybody actually listens to, I mean, obviously they take it for only an excuse and what have you, but I don't think it comes across like that on the radio show. I know it's obviously might be a carry on, but you still get that then?
No, so what happened was, the coincidence of this was that when Only Excuse really started getting popular, I had just written a book about Rangers, which I did for the best of reasons, which was money.
Aye.
So it was called Rebirth of the Blues, and it made me a lot of money. And it suited them at the time that I was a big Rangers fan. Now, listen, the background of this is I was born in Govan. I was brought up the south side of Glasgow. I went to a school that was about a mile west than from Ibrox. At one point, the headmaster was a director of Rangers. My brother, God rest him, was a big Rangers fan. My pals were Rangers fans. I had every reason in the world to be a Rangers fan, but I wasn't, and I never was a kid. I rebelled, and I actually would confess to when I was a young lad supporting Hearts for some bizarre reason. I never quite, I have no idea what that was about. And then my dad died. My stepdad was a big St Mirren fan, and I never knew I was a St Mirren fan as a kid. But I started, as my career began to build up, I started to be infected by the curse of having a personal affection for someone because of my dad. And then he died the year after I won the cup. So I've kind of taken that on board. But everybody thinks I'm a Rangers fan for Paisley, when in fact I'm a St Mirren fan for Govan.
See, it's weird, right? I'm listening to you talk there, and I watched American Murder Story last week about the guy that killed his wife and that, and the way that he was talking in the confession room and talking to the police and clearly lying, for some reason, I don't know, it sounded like you were just making that up as you go along. Then you're getting right out your way here to denounce being a Rangers fan, and then my dad, and then the headmaster, and my brother, and I liked Hearts. I liked Hearts.
Exactly. It's not just that. He's flung us off the scent. He's flung in a couple of deaths along the way and all. Know what I mean?
All right, boys. I murdered my wife.
You only murdered her because she found your stash of Rangers jerseys.
What I do in the bedroom is my business.
Brilliant.
Hey, you still what? Do you still enjoy getting on the radio? Chuck, you still enjoy doing it every weekend?
I do, and you know, I never used the word retired. People consider I turned 65 a while back, and I just stepped back, but I didn't want to retire. I'm still, like, I love the Scottish football world. I'd be going to games anyway. I love mixing with people talking about football. It's been my life, you know. I've managed since 19. I worked as a copy boy in the Daily Record and a couple of local papers, but I have been a full-time football journalist since 1973, and that's a long time, and it's all I've really known. And of course, you build up contacts, you enjoy the world. I've had the best of it. At time I run to absolute perfection in this business. I've had, newspapers, magazines, radio, television, maintained columns while I was working in radio and television, books. So, and I've gotten to know people, and I would miss it all hell if they eventually just booted me out the door. I'd probably be hanging around somewhere going, "Give us a job." Let me go.
If they put you at the door, just start a podcast, mate. It's magic.
I'll keep that in mind.
So over the years you've been at numerous football matches that I would have loved to have been at. What's your favourite one? What's your favourite one that you've ever been at?
They come in all shapes and sizes. I mean, I covered the World Cup, Spain 82, Mexico 86, Italy 90, didn't go to 94, 98 in France. I've also covered the World Cups 2006 in Germany, 2010 in South Africa when Scotland weren't there. And it's much better fun when Scotland are there. But St Mirren winning the Cup in '87 when we beat Dundee United, which was the worst game in history, but your team won the Cup, so that's it. But actually, my greatest memories, and I touched it earlier about Stevie Clarke, we're going with the youth team to Finland in 1982 when we became European champions. And people like, Pat Nevin was unbelievable, Jim McInally and that team. And then the next year, as I said, Stevie Clarke's team in Mexico, because we were European champions, so we qualified for the Under-19 World Cup. There was only 3 Scottish journalists on that trip. We were away for 5 weeks. We did altitude training in Colorado Springs, and then went to the game itself. And the 3 journalists were Jack Adams and Dick Donnelly, 2 great guys who sadly no longer with us. Wonderful, wonderful guys. And my memories of that are absolutely precious, because there was Eric Black and people like that coming through in the team, and you got to know the players, and you were the first journalist they related to, so they've always had a special relationship, I think, in the wake of all that. But the World Cups, that game in Brazil, against Brazil in France when we opened the tournament, unbelievable stuff. '86 in Mexico, and it just gets your heart thumping to think. And I just assumed I'd beat the World Cup every 4 years. In a year, what do you know? It never worked out that way.
I know. I think we'll be the next one. I've got a feeling we're going to start qualifying for stuff, man. Honestly, and hopefully, if Steve Clarke can keep this Scotland team as difficult to play against as he has done, and we can frustrate these teams and sneak a goal here and there. Greece won the fucking tournament doing that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. I don't see why Scotland can't aspire to do that.
Yeah, but you've got and to get to finals, whether it's the European Championship or the World Cup, you've no idea what it does to the nation. That I was kind of I was lucky to go there, but the interest in what it does for the the financial state of the nation, apart from anything else, lifts the soul. And by God, does this nation need its soul lifted just now?
Right.
It just would be so fantastic to just get there. And of course, the final irony will be, if we do get to Euro 21 now, that the Tartan Army won't be allowed to go. Right. That would be dreadful.
and you're right.
Scottish.
You're right, and it does need it because, I mean, as you say, we've no qualified since 1998. That's like 2 generations that have missed all these tournaments, and I think it's had an effect on, well, the likes of me, right? I was 10 when in the 1998 World Cup, loved it. I can remember the day, June the 10th, amazing. But because of the gap in between qualifying for these tournaments, man, I definitely put my hands up. I've got to admit it. My interest in international football has went right down. I just don't know what it is. I can't get myself G'd up for it. And
Grado,
I don't. What?
See what you're saying there. See when it happens, what Chick says, the full country. There's no allegiances, there's no splits down the middle. Everybody's aiming for the one thing. Everybody's behind Scotland. I remember 90. I remember 92. I remember we never qualified in 94, 96 and 98. Those are the 4 tournaments that I remember. And you're standing there with your Rangers supporting pals or your Celtic supporting pals, and you're all supporting the one team. And it doesn't matter who a player plays for. I don't know how many Kenny Miller goals I went fucking tonto for watching Scotland. You know what I mean? But it's you'll agree with me here. It's just a different ball game altogether, isn't it? It really is.
I remember even at a professional level, the night before the opening game in Paris against Brazil, we were doing sports scene from Paris, a studio on a boat on the Seine, and it was definitely saying that was the days the BBC had a better budget. Anyway, right, check. I had to go with a cameraman into the night before the game and film a piece on the Champs-Élysées, kissing as many Brazil and French women as I could. Now,
that's a terrible job.
I'm
not sure people would get sent out to do that kind of work now. But I tell you what, I had to take a bullet for the team and go out and do it. And just interview them, and it was incredible. It was incredible times, and what a World Cup does. And I've, football's been so good. I've seen the world thanks to football, or thanks to my job in football. I think the other thing about the beauty of when I was going to World Cups, the first trip I ever went abroad was with Celtic in 1975. I think it was after Mr. Steen's accident, and they played Reykjavik. So they played Akranes in Iceland, and I don't know, Johannes Edvardsson had come from there and signed for Celtic. He was like the king of Iceland. Anyway, the point was, now Iceland is really one of the Outer Hebrides, geographically speaking. We went on the Sunday lunchtime for a Wednesday night game and came back to Thursday night. It was, and you'd one story to write a day for the newspaper, and there were no mobile phones, there was no internet. It was just brilliant, and you lived life to the full. And
I bet you it didn't hurt that there's 7 women to every guy on Iceland and all, chick.
Well, you do ask some of my colleagues about that. I think the quality is the important thing, but I don't want to get into it. It was just a good time with lovely, welcoming people. And you go. If I've been to Moldova, who would go to Moldova if you went when you were, Georgia? But Georgia's beautiful. Tbilisi is a beautiful city. But there are places I've been to. Most people have been to Spain or France or America maybe. I've just been places that. It's just been absolutely phenomenal all over Mexico. Two 5-week periods in Mexico. It's just been ridiculous. The World Cups I've identified. Going with Scotland with Bertie to Hong Kong and to Korea, South Korea. Incredible stuff.
So listen, everybody knows all about the Walter Smith interview where he went nuts at you, right? But has there ever been any other managers that have wanted to strangle you?
Oh, Christ, Ian McCall ran at me last week. Walters, I need to tell you about the Walter one because it was the day, the morning after the night before the AEK Athens game. It was at 93, and I was sent out to interview him. And I've heard the story. Walter and I are great pals. Still are. But he is a one grumpy bastard at times, and I knew that was going to be an effort. So. He wasn't doing any interviews, and I said, I'm hanging around. And his secretary, Laura, lovely woman, had apparently said to him, he'll not go away until you get and do it. And I would have staked out. I tell me to set up in the tunnel. So up in the tunnel, and you've probably seen the clip now where the beauty of it is, Walter says, I said something about what it said, but I think it was Basil Bowley wasn't good enough for European, and he said he'd won a European Cup medal. But before that, I had said something. So is Tommy Gemmell, but he's about 63 now. So that was where I shouldn't have said that. That cracked him up. And there's the beautiful shot thing where if you watch it, he says you'll see the camera shake a bit, and he says, "No wonder you're laughing, Billy." Now Billy was my cameraman, Billy Frew, who sadly died of cancer a few years ago. And at that point, the beauty of the shot is Archie Knox, because we're shooting down the tunnel, and Archie Knox comes up the tunnel and says, and now Walter turns to him and says, "Have you heard his fucking questions?" And Archie says, "Tell me to stick his microphone up his fucking arse." But the beauty of it was the shot, because Archie just walks through the shot brilliantly. Anyway, I kept the thing going because I needed to get a clip for reporting Scotland. I got him, and Walter knew in these days if you swore, you would never have been broadcast. So we saved. I knew it had 30 seconds, which is all I needed of decent stuff. And in these days, you get back to BBC, and once you'd edited your piece, you threw all the tape was recycled. I decided to keep that tape in my bottom drawer. The next Christmas, there was a BBC in-house Christmas tape that went out, and anybody, there were always a memo in these days, is anybody any good stuff? I said, I've got this great stuff with me and Walter Smith. It went into the Christmas tape, and I have to tell you, the in-house BBC Christmas thing was better than any programme we ever made that went out. It was fantastic. More time and more love and affection went into it. And anyway, that went in, and what happened was the tape went out. It was somebody took it out of the building, which never happened, and it was downloaded on VHS copies and was shown in pubs and all the rest of it. And that's how it got out and how it was preserved. So people say, "Oh, how do you feel about that?" Well, it was me that preserved it. I could have thrown it in the bin. That was the point. And then when it went on to YouTube, the News of the World phoned me and said, "This thing's on YouTube." And I said, "Right, wait a minute, before you go any further, what the fuck's YouTube?" So the boy explained to me. By that time, it had about 1 million hits. I had to phone Walter. Walter said, "This thing's on YouTube." And Walter said, "What the fuck's YouTube?" And I said, only because I'd explained to me. I said, right. He said, there must be money. And I said, if we get a £1 a hit, that's £1 million. We can give it to charity. And I said, you can do what you want with your half. But anyway, the thing is going on, and it's turned full circle because Walter's been haunted by it because his grandson said to him a wee while back, watched it on YouTube and said to Walter, Granddad, why are you swearing at that man? So it's come back to haunt him. But I want people to know that I don't run from it. It was me that kept the tape, or it would not have existed. And there's so many over the years that I probably should have kept as well to show that it was. Bill McNeil used to make me sing the Celtic song in the team bus when we were away and tour before he would start the engine. We get the driver to start the engine.
Who's that, Mark McNeil?
Billy McNeil.
Billy McNeil.
Aye. So way back when I was working in the Evening Times, Billy was a fantastic human being.
I see that. I love that story because I remember talking about it before. That it's. See, I didn't know that you had preserved it. I knew that it was a tape within the BBC, but did you know? Like, it must just have came out of nowhere, the YouTube thing. But for years it was kept away.
So Grado, it was. So what happened? Somebody in the BBC copied it on a VHS tape, and they were showing it around pubs because there was no internet then. So they were showing it around the pubs, and the news will phone me about this. There was grainy footage, and then somewhere down the line, 10 years on or whatever it was, YouTube had started, and somebody had got it on, uploaded it, downloaded it, whatever it is, and at the start of YouTube. And it's, I don't know, it's about 3 million hits or something.
It's got more than that. No, but it's been replicated that many times, man. It must be near to about 50 million hits, I would say, the amount of times it's been shared on Facebook. I'm telling you, it is one of the kind of... Is there any other tapes out there that you check now? Is there anything?
I think there's one of me and Jim Trader, but when there's a lot of... this becomes a shock to you, but I don't lie in my bed at night and Google myself. That sounds worse than it's meant to be.
I remember I was at a charity football match once and you were playing in it, right? And you were fucking no bad. I'll be honest with you, you were no bad. You still kick a ball.
I'm still playing sixes. The 11 the side game has passed me by. It was probably the great Dukla Pumperson thing. Now there's another great adventure of my life. 25 years. I've gone around the world with Dukla, thing again. Started from the naked radio thing where they had a fictional amateur team called Dukla Pumpers and Sawmill and Tannery, and that was Johnny Watson and Johnny Watson and Tony Roper, and I had what happened about 1988, I think, anybody there. Variety Club the East Enders had a charity football team, the Castle East Enders, and a couple of ex-pros and that. And they were coming to Glasgow, and the Variety asked me if I could get a team together, celebrity ex-players team, to play the Castle East Enders at Fir Hill. And I remember I got a team: Big Andy Ritchie, Alan Ruff, Jim Leishman, Walter Smith, all the boys. The wee Alec McDonald played, I think. There's a picture of it I saw quite recently somewhere. Anyway, I remember 7,000 people turned up. I remember the directors of Partick Thistle saying to me, what is all this? I said, it's a fucking crowd. And they never saw the funny side of that. Anyway, so the thing, people came to me. We won the game 2-0, I think. But anyway, so people were coming to me. Oh, yeah, you're on a celeb ex-players team. No, not really, but we can get this team together. And it became more and more regular. Tony and Johnny played, and somebody, John Blackley, John Brownlee, we Alan McDonald. It was brilliant. Ali Hunter became the goalie. Big Ruffy wanted to play up front. And we had great fun. Danny McGrain, played. So we had a better team. And we adopted the name Dukla Pumperson from the thing they did, Naked Radio, and it grew and grew, and we had a dinner every year, 25 years of a dinner, massive dinner, which was fantastic fun. We went around the world, literally playing charity games. We've been to Brazil, Canada, South Africa, Spain, the jaunts and the adventures and that. playing games, and with the dinner to raise funds to go and play, and we play for charities in these countries I've just named. I remember we played 3 games.
Did you know I've played all your games in Scotland and donated the travel money to the charity?
No. An international, I mean, would you like it? Celtic never played out of the country and raised their name.
Listen, it's fucking starting to get that way, chick.
I think we were in Europe longer, but it was fantastic fun, and the camaraderie with the boys and the banter. And I think players miss the dressing room atmosphere when they retire. And when we were away together, the crack with Cuba, we went to Cuba for a week. It was just ridiculous. And some of these stories of these trips, I keep getting asked to write my autobiography, but I've never got into it.
That'd be good.
The only thing I've dealt on, Grado, is I've got the name of it. I'm going to call it. You're never going to believe this, because I think that's exactly what the reaction will be when it happens.
That's amazing.
The best part is Grado's still waiting for the name of the book, yeah.
Can you tell? Am I making it that obvious? Yeah, what was I going to ask you? Whatever. How's Cuba, by the way? Because that's after the quarantine list. I read that this morning. I've got a week off in November.
I'll get yourself. I don't think I would say, first time I went was 97, and I went back in 2001. And even in these 4 years, the change was incredible. You know, and the whole relationship with the Americans has kind of screwed it up a bit. But wonderful people, fabulous island. I love Cuba. Get yourself there, absolutely.
Well,
I'll get you some cigar lists.
Right. Tidy, well, it's either going to be Cuba or Millport, so we'll see what happens in the next couple of days.
No contest there. You're talking about Fantasy Island. Fantastic.
See when you were playing for Dukla Pumferson against EastEnders, did any of the big hitters for EastEnders try and put a mark on you?
No, I mean, I see the players I've just listed that were my team.
Aye.
I think I was maybe away doing the target rich zone. I think, and also I had protection. The guy Jimmy Bone.
Oh,
And he was. You don't see if you're a player playing a charity game. You do not tangle with ex-professional players. You'll not know what happened to you. You know, they get try the big man, and they get 1 or 2 tackles in, and last one, son, and the next thing the boy's doing, he never know what happened. Professionals know things.
Just clear this up. You were playing EastEnders the telly, as in you were playing against Ian Beale.
The actors for EastEnders, mate. Aye.
Well, there a couple of boys I played with Arsenal, but we used to play. We played all sorts of teams. Stan Boardman brought a team up to Liverpool. We played at Broadwood. That was the other thing. We got to play in. There's not many stadia, and I played at Hampden, Celtic Park, Ibrox, Smyrna Park. I mean, right through there's not many. Motherwell. There's grounds in these charity games that I've played in. Some of the greatest players in Scottish football history they played in. It's at Wembley. I played at Wembley. It's ridiculous. I played in a game when Hampden was rebuilt. Was that 99? And they had a game to test, access from fans and all that. There was 27,000. Rod Stewart was playing in my team. Tommy Burns was the captain of the team. And then Ruffy, I think, and then Kenny Dalglish, myself, Rod Stewart coming out. I thought, I'm the only person in this lineup I don't recognise.
I tell you, who was a player in one of the charity games that surprised me? Peter Martin. I mean, you might see the belly on him, but he's shit hot. Did you see him at Airdrie, Toe?
I played in that. I get sent off in that game.
Oh, did you?
So I did. No, it was the first one I get sent off in. Get sent off for sticking your head on somebody in a charity game, chick. I'm ashamed of myself.
Aye, well.
The guy's knee was fucking killing him.
Peter's lovely touch in the ball.
He's
likes a wee drag back.
He was definitely. It surprised me. I couldn't believe it when he was playing.
Stands in that centre circle, doesn't he? He doesn't do much running, but he picks the ball about.
Aye, that's it.
We'll ask one more question before we get to the quiz bit. Toe, what do you think?
Aye. Check. See if you were interviewing us.
Give some advice here. Give some podcast advice here, Chick. We're thinking about the last question to ask you before we go right now. We've not got our usual producer here. Self-Suit Bob isn't here. We've got stand-in Ryan. If you were us interviewing Chick Young, what would you want us to ask you? That's a good question.
Well, you see, if you want to have an interview, I'm not really of the school where you go and sit and write down 20 questions and ask that. I tend to think of it as a conversation, and it leads on. You have an answer, and it leads on to somewhere else. I mean, if
I was stumped at Peter Martin.
What was that?
I was stumped at Peter Martin. That's when we kind of lost the conversation there. That's right. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know what would lead on to that.
Well, people. I mean, there are cliched questions about any regrets or what you wish you'd have done and all that kind of stuff, and what's going to happen now. I don't think you should script out an interview. I've worked with producers who say, right, A, B, C, D, but I tend to just like, and you have the other thing is, you said if I was interviewing you, well, I like to interview big names, so this really wouldn't be happening.
Well, you wouldn't be interviewing Grado. My name's quite long, Christopher Charles Toll. That's a big name, isn't it?
Grado, actually, I tried to drag him into big time and he snubbed me. He went to sleep for 24 hours.
Oh man, that was bad. I totally forgot about that. That was horrific. What was that? The Graham Souness night?
So I managed to organise on behalf of Deborah charity. It was a fantastic thing. I organised it. I helped to organise it. So we had Graham Souness and Walter Smith and Martin O'Neill and Neil Lennon, and a joint Rangers and Celtic, an Old Firm United for Deborah, and it was a magnificent success. And I asked your man to be a guest, and he never rocked up. Empty seat at the table.
Hey, that chick had been the first one in the hall, my man.
We raised £158,000 at one dinner in March.
159.
Deborah would have been delighted then with her haul, eh?
It was a very good charity, and if you saw the cause, and Graham Souness was the man who kind of drove it on. That's his adopted charity, but you know, Walter Smith and Martin and Lenny never blinked. We'll be there. Never took a penny, and it was what a laugh. It was a fantastic night. The great John Gagan finished off the night.
Oh, check how funny is John Gagan, man.
Funniest speaker I've ever heard, full stop.
He's the best, isn't he?
Fuck you, tarred with a brush.
He's dead unique as well, isn't he, the way he goes on? It's full of energy, and he's all like, I love listening to him.
Aye, so I've seen him a right few times in Airdrie Workman's, and he's funny as fuck, man.
Can I just say that some man there needed a striker if you could help out sometimes?
Listen, I'm not that good in the air, but I'm not bad in the box. My missus will tell you.
Moving on.
At the end of our interviews, we ask people, our guests, a quiz on Scottish football. Right? We've had some belters on. We've had Kenny Duker, Keith Lasley, Mark Wilson, Kevin Harper. We've had Frank McAvenny, Owen Coyle, ironically Johnny Watson. So that's the one that you're looking out to beat, I think. And the worst one in the whole time that we've done this was David McCracken. He only got one question right.
So there are questions about the game?
Questions about football, my good man. I originally asked our normal producer, John, I wanted all of these questions to be about St Mirren, right, to see how much of a big St Mirren fan you actually were. But he's shat the bed and he's just done a normal quiz as usual. Right, so we're going to go for a normal quiz. You get 90 seconds. You're not allowed to pass. Even if you give a wrong answer, you've got to give an answer, right?
Right.
Are you ready for this, Chick?
Yep.
Right, Ryan, have you got 90 seconds on the clock, my man?
Yep, on you go.
And your 90 seconds start now. Which club did Scott Brown join Celtic from?
Hibs.
Who was the last Scot to lift the European Cup?
Andy Robertson.
How many league games will there be in the lower leagues this season?
27.
Which team do you really support?
St Mirren.
Which club have a steeple on their badge?
Falkirk. That's not
Partick
right.
Thistle's Ricky Foster is married to which pop star?
Amy MacDonald.
Which player has the most caps for Scotland's men's team?
Kenny Dalglish, 102.
When were St Mirren founded?
1887.
Clyde Tildesley is the commentator for which club's TV channel?
Rangers.
What 3 players were put into self-isolation from the Scotland camp?
Ryan Christie, Stuart Armstrong, and Kieran Tierney.
What is the name of the project being led by Liverpool and Man United down south?
Project It's All About Us.
What's the name of Paisley Panda's wife?
Mrs. Panda.
Who scored the winning penalty for
Panda's
Scotland
wife.
against Israel?
Say that again.
Who scored the winning penalty for Scotland against Israel?
Kenny McLean.
What League Two club have a Norwegian supporters club?
Stenhousemuir.
Who have the bookies made favourites to win this year's championship?
Hearts.
What club are nicknamed the Gable Endies?
A broth.
How many
Time.
Scottish Cups? Time's up. By the way,
up.
you only get 2 wrong there.
You get to finish the last question.
Oh, sorry, do that.
didn't you?
How many Scottish Cups have St Mirren won?
3.
Right.
Right.
So I'm going to go back, and you only get 2 questions wrong there, right? And one of them was, when was St Mirren founded?
I know. I know. As soon as I said it, what did I say? I said 18.
You said 1887. It was 1877. Check.
I knew when I said it. That's why I was laughing at the fact.
Right, and the club that's named the Gable Endies is Montrose.
Montrose, I know.
That's right. So how are we looking then, Ryan? Oh, he's not as fast as counting as John.
No, I was just going back to check there. I've got him
By the
down
way,
as...
we've got a new leader, Grado.
Seriously?
Check, you're top of the 3 with 15 correct answers.
No way, you're top of the league.
I can't believe I get some wrong. That was stupid.
There we go, that's you. You're top, joint top with John Sutton. 15
Yeah, and there,
questions
Chick, you
right.
can tell your pals.
That's
Aye.
it, man.
I'm
I
not
don't
even
think
telling
he's
my
going to be
pals.
telling his pals about this interview.
Exactly. I'm not telling my pals it was on this.
Listen, Chick, before we go, you said that you're good pals with John Gagan and Joe Cammy.
Yeah.
Need to put us in touch with them, mate, because I'd love to get the 2 of them on the show. They're funny as hell, man.
Well, Chick, thanks very much for that. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yes, I did, boys. Very much, very
What was
much.
your favourite bit?
Just signing off now.
Football Daft with G4 Claims. Been involved in a road traffic accident? Call them now on 01698 767 172.
So that's it. That's us came to the end of the empty, I guess, Grado.
Boys,
I think we've
boys, can I just jump in? See, before we finish this, though, like, I've been listening to the show every week, and you're always threatening this Big Brother story, mate, and I'm dying to hear what it is, but nobody will ever tell me what it is.
Good
So,
shout.
Chris,
Yeah.
tell me the story.
Listen, Ryan, it's not the sort of story that I share with outsiders, mate. Sorry.
I get
The
it.
next week.
You've got to be in the club, ain't you?
You've got to be in the club. You've got to be a signed up member.
Get yourself on Patreon. You might hear it on Celtic Daft. In fact, don't tell them Celtic Daft. But you're right, mate. I'm sorry. I wouldn't feel comfortable you telling him.
I can't do it when Stevie and John's not here.
So
Do you know what I mean?
We'll get it next week.
Right, we'll get it next week. But anyway, folks, thanks very much for listening to the show this week. Let us know how we got on. Did we do better without Stevie? Did we do better without John? Do we need that anchor man? The man that greases the wheels and gets us through every week, Stevie Purden. Chelsea Bob. We're missing him, isn't we? I miss Stevie, I'll be honest with
It's
you.
no, mate. I mean, I like your company, Toll, but there's something just not missing. And it doesn't sit right with me that there's a producer up there sitting in a Celtic tap. This is just not for me.
Aye, especially the week off.
Especially the fake tap that he's going and all that he bought for. Where is it you got it, China?
I got it for the Celtic shop, this one, mate.
Are you right?
The Celtic shop in the Shanghai airport.
Anyway, Toll, I would say good luck this weekend, but
You know what?
just
See,
enjoy yourself.
as long as everybody comes through, there's no injuries. Everybody has a good time. Still hope we fuckies. All the best. All the best, mate. All the best. I hope you enjoy. I hope you at least get a wee bit of hope. I hope these are like maybe winning 1-0 with 5 minutes to go and we do a Celtic and get a couple of goals. Because that gives you the hope and then it just tears it away from you. Fucking hate you.
Because to be honest with you, I've got that as well. I wouldn't mind a wee kind of last minute penalty that is never a fucking penalty.
Well, you've got that coming because I think Beaton's contractually obligated to give you a penalty, isn't he?
To be fair, at least he'll not be going to the fucking pub after the game this time, so that's a positive.
That's a fair point. There'll be no photos of brother John in the boozer.
Fair play. Right, this is Dave Man, and this is 2-on-1. He's sitting in your Celtic taps. Listen, troops, if you're listening to the show this weekend, just watch yourselves, stick with the rules, all the rest of it. Remember, take care of yourselves
And each other.
Audio.